Well, good morning. It's Friday, May 31st, and most kids in this area, this is their last day of school, or they already had the last day of school.
I think Burton is their last day, but
Last
like
day.
Cardinal and Chardon, they're already out.
All right, so some of the kiddos are getting out. Some have already been out. I know this is April's last day. She
Yay!
gets out early, so she's going to be a different person for the summer. Oh, that's not a good thing to say. It's not a nice thing to say. But those of you that might be tuning in, again, we always want to tell you that when you tune in, if you have comments, questions, thoughts, share them so that we can kind of discuss things. And if not, you just get to listen to our ramblings and those kind of things. So today we have the privilege of having Nikki with us. This is Nikki Cerny, and she's actually my niece. I know you don't see a resemblance because I'm so much better looking.
You're so rude.
Um,
I'm a lot smarter though.
oh my goodness, now it is getting deep. All right. So, but Nikki was a guest here about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Mhm.
She just happened to pop in unannounced,
Yes.
which was rude, rather rude. And so we brought her in and talked with her for a little bit. But today we're going to talk with her for the next hour, I think, maybe a little less than that, maybe 45 minutes to an hour. So hopefully we'll have some good discussion. Um, I'm trying to think, Nikki. I guess the first thing is, do you have anything to say to the viewers concerning? Because last time you were here, I explained how you were a three-time gold medalist for underwater
Yes.
basket weaving.
Yes.
Do you want to share anything about that?
Um, it's not true. So Brian has deceived you all. um, yeah, it's not true.
Okay.
I don't exercise. If I tried to do that, I would probably die. I get winded going up the stairs.
Wow.
So
That's really bad.
it is. I went fishing like last week, and my arm the next day was so sore.
What's a fishing pole weigh? Like 3 ounces?
I know, but I did catch a bunch of decent fish. But still, it hurt so bad. I'm like, I am so out of shape. It's disgusting.
So do you enjoy fishing?
I do.
Yeah. And your husband Bob is the one that goes fishing. He's the fishing expert, right?
He is.
What kind of fish do you fish for?
Usually largemouth, bass, and smallmouth.
Okay.
But Bob likes to fish for like pike and muskie and that kind of stuff.
Muskie sounds like a fish that you wouldn't want to eat. Like it sounds like a dirty fish. Is it?
It does. I don't know. We don't eat them. We don't eat fish.
You don't even eat the bass?
No. Well, Bob will eat like, what is that, walleye? But like he won't bring it home and cook it because like I freak out because I don't like it, the smell of it.
Okay.
I just, yeah, I won't eat anything that lives in the water or flies higher than 25 feet. So
that's interesting. Very interesting.
But yeah, so I'm out of shape. But
yeah. Well, let's see. Matt is on. Matt, how you doing? Matt's probably I don't know where he's at. He's on the road somewhere, or maybe he's on his way back. And it looks like Carol might have joined. Is that Carol?
Am I supposed to be looking at this?
Yeah, no, that's Carol. I'm trying to get on Facebook,
here.
And for some strange reason, I can't get on the Northeast Facebook. It's just bringing up a stupid. Oh, here I am. I'm on now. Maybe it's me that's stupid.
Oh, look.
Oh, you got.
We're on and I'm watching us.
Yeah. Isn't that neat? You might want to turn your volume down.
Oh, sorry.
I'll tell you what. So the comment earlier that she's the smarter one, I guess obviously that's proving to be wrong.
Oh.
So, well, one of the things I want to talk to you about today, Nikki, is the idea of Christian faith in your generation. Now, I know you're not supposed to ask a woman their age, but when a woman is younger, I think you can do that without offending them. So, can I ask how old you are?
I am 35.
35. I didn't think you were.
I know you thought I was like 24. Right?
I did. I can't remember. It seems like yesterday when you were like this little twerp, and I was your uncle walking around telling you to get out of my way.
Yeah, you were mean. You were like feeling sometimes.
Really? Yeah. I know you've told me that. I've repented, but she still harbors.
I don't. I was just reminding him.
She has a lot of bitterness towards our youth. And those are some strange stories. Maybe we'll get into some of those today. Funny stories. Do you remember that time I tried to convince you to go to the beach with an old girlfriend of mine so that you could convince her to take me back? Do you don't remember that?
No.
I was desperate. I was
Ooh,
a desperate. I was a desperate young person.
I don't
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah. But anyway, so those are some weird things. We don't want to get into any of that. But so when it comes to Christian faith with 35-year-olds, which you would be considered the millennials.
Yes.
Yeah, you'd be a millennial. Let me ask you this question. Why don't they like to come to church that much? Why don't you come to church?
You're such a jerk. Like honestly, for me, like I'm lazy, and I just don't want to get up in the morning.
Okay.
And two, like when I get up in the morning, like it takes me a while to like feel awake. Like I'll usually I like laze around for a few hours. But then if I wake up early, like, well, then you would say, well, just wake up early, Nikki, and then you could have your few hours. But then if I wake up like really early, I get super tired and then I'll go back to sleep.
It's probably from the GMOs that you've been eating.
It probably is.
So I noticed a lot of younger people have problems getting out of bed in the morning.
Yeah. My diet's horrible. I don't exercise, a lot of it. And then when I went gluten-free, I did feel a lot better. So I don't know. But I don't know. I think that younger people probably they think it's boring, or they
are they accurate in that? Is church kind of boring?
I don't think so. Sometimes it can be.
Yeah.
And like for me, like I get distracted really easily. So like I'll be like listening to you on days that I come. But then someone will do something or say something and I'm just like, focused on that. So I do like tend to lose, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Focus.
Okay. So it's part of our ADHD society that has to have lights and things going on, and you have to have a pastor.
Stimulation.
Yeah, you do. You have to have a pastor that has all kinds of stimulus going on the screen, and he has to move from one thought, and he has to be entertaining you from that thought to that thought. Because if he actually tries to engage your mind and make you think about it, you fall off the planet, right? Right. That's interesting. That's really interesting.
It's like the same thing with like being in school. You know what I mean? Like in school, I don't even know how I graduated with honors in college. I don't know how I did it because I don't know.
You realize you just boasted about yourself graduating with, because I too.
Well, because that's What does that mean? Comb your hair. Oh wait, you don't have any.
How about that? Is the sound better now? Can you ask them if the sound's better now? I'm just wondering.
I'm not getting any of those on my phone.
What?
Like the stuff, like those things that are popping up, the messages.
What? I want to try to see.
Comb your hair. Oh wait, you don't have any.
How about that? Does the sound better now? Can you ask them if the sound's better now? I'm just wondering.
I'm not getting any of those on my phone. Is it working? Like the stuff, like those things.
Well, here's the thing. All right. Well, I mean, I've had sound from the beginning, so I don't know. Hopefully, Naomi, you have sound now. All right. So Naomi has sound now.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's what y'all get for coming in late.
Yeah, Naomi.
She doesn't even know you, Naomi, and she's cutting on you already.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
All right.
I'm just fun like that.
Well, for those of you that are just stepping in to the conversation, I'm here with my niece, Nikki. She was a guest a couple of weeks ago, and so I asked her to come back because Matt is out of town, and now I've got this thing on, and I don't want to do that. Matt is out of town this week again, actually doing something that I know nothing about. He's working.
Ooh, what's that?
I have no idea. Because we all know that pastors don't actually work. Well,
yeah, right.
About 30 minutes on Sunday.
Right.
They work.
And that's it.
That's about
You're
it.
so lazy.
I know. So I'm here with Nikki, my niece, and we've been talking about why younger people in that late 20s, early 30 range, the millennials, are really checking out a church and don't really want to have a whole lot to do with it. And so far, Nikki has kind of brought to my attention that, number one, sometimes it's boring. So that's something we could kind of look at, I guess, as a church. But number two is there's no motivation to really get out of bed and get here on that Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've been talking about what might stimulate some of that in the younger generation. And I think before we kind of went off on this, we can't hear you. And Carol, I could say something, Carol. You're listening though, Carol. So Carol's been struggling with some hearing problems. So I was going to say, Carol, maybe if you turn to the other side, that would be better. But
Carol.
I know. She knows I'm just kidding.
I'm deaf too, so that's good.
She's not deaf.
Sorry. Well, I'm deaf.
Okay. So she had mentioned that her husband, Bob, and how old's Bob?
Bob he'll be 39 in August. So he's not even a millennial. He's a Gen X.
Is he a Gen? I know.
He's whatever you are.
When
what
was
are
he
you?
born?
80.
1980?
Yeah, because the millennial's 82.
So he's a Gen Xer then.
Yeah.
So we don't even want to.
He's an old fart.
We don't want to put Bob in that category then. But we were talking about her husband Bob, who is really an atheist, right?
That's what I call him.
Yeah. And he's cool with that. If he were here, he'd probably be all right.
No, he would not. Because I tell him that, and he's like, "I'm not an atheist, babe." And I'm like, "But you don't believe in God, do you?" Because I believe in something. I'm like, "But you don't believe in Jesus Christ."
Okay. So then he's not an atheist. He's probably an agnostic, which means that he believes there's probably a God or a force or something, but he can't comprehend. He doesn't know for sure, and he can't comprehend.
Right, yes.
Okay, so he'd be an agnostic then.
Okay, same difference.
So that would be a better way to describe him.
Okay.
But even as that, Nikki said he enjoys coming and he enjoys listening to the sermons. But I said that's because we have, even though it's not a deep relationship, we have a relationship.
Yeah.
And we were just talking before we broke into this whole sound thing that relationship is so important in the church, especially with our younger people. And so, Nikki, let me ask you this question. What would it take for the church to start building bridges to the younger generations in building relationships with them? Because I don't see our older people doing it. I don't see our older people taking time to do it.
It's because they don't care. No, I'm just kidding.
They don't.
I don't know. I mean, that's a hard question because I think especially in today's society, we are so wrapped up in ourselves and I am not. And just social media and doing all that stuff. And so I don't even know how you would really try to reach out because you're going to have people like Bob and then you're going to have people who like, younger people who believe, or people who are atheists. So it's like, I don't know how you'd reach out to like all these different types of people. Like the people obviously that believe, yeah, they would probably be a little easier to reach out to, but I don't know, because it seems like a lot of people I know don't even, God is not even, on their radar.
Okay, so let me get personal then, because you have a beautiful older lady that has tried to mentor or spend time with you, try to hang out with you, but that happens kind of almost sporadically too. It's not something that's more consistent.
Right.
Would you say that's both of your schedules in conflict? Would you say that she's tried to reach out and you haven't gotten back? Is it a scheduling issue?
I think we both are, I don't know what we are, but we do try, but it's like either I'll forget or something will happen, or the same in her case. Because there's actually a few ladies that I, and not even from like here, but like from other churches, like in Garrettsville, that I've tried to like, we'll try to like schedule something, and then she'll get sick, or one of the kids will get sick. There's always something standing in our way. Stupid Satan.
And that's a great point, what she just said. I mean, Satan is not stupid. Actually, he's very intelligent.
Yeah, but I hate him.
He's not wise, because the scriptures say that wisdom is of God, and he doesn't seem to have any of that. So he's not wise, but he is intelligent. He is smart. He is crafty. The Bible tells us, and he is very deceptive. So he will do just about anything he can to try and thwart any kind of good thing that we might try to do in our life.
Mm-hmm.
And so a part of this, helping younger generations check in to church is helping them see that it's not about church. That going to church on Sunday it will be important to them once their life is wrapped around Jesus, I think. Like you can't like today, you can't in today's culture, you can't start with church on Sunday morning.
Right.
You just can't anymore.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And I've been trying to get this through our heads, because what we try to do as a church is when we have these discussions, I try to pull us back, and I can't seem to get us back. But everybody thinks, if we have a building, we have a place for people to come to, they'll come.
Yeah, no.
Well, we've proved that to be wrong.
Right.
Because they're still not necessarily coming.
Right.
And we can't sit here on Sundays, and yes, Sundays are important for the believers to be trained and to worship together and to fellowship together. That's all important. I'm not discarding that.
Right.
But I think if we're going to reach this younger generation, we've got to get outside the walls of this church, and somehow we've got to be in relationship with them.
Right. Another thing is, like, even for me personally, because like I don't come to church, not because I'm like, oh, I hate it. It has nothing to do with that. Like I said, I have issues getting out of bed. I'm a really tired person all the time. But I constantly talk to God all throughout the day. I constantly pray. I read my Bible. I try to have like a really deep, intimate relationship with God. However, when I come, I do. You're not there.
I just know her so well.
So what? I'm lying?
No, you're not lying at all.
Jesus, he's gonna get you for that.
I just like when she talks about this, because then 2 weeks from now I'll be talking to her. She's like, "Bri, everything's falling apart. I don't know what to do."
No, because that happened, and I didn't run away. I didn't. It was like the first time I did not run away, because normally I run.
That's really a plus, Nick. I mean, that's huge.
I know.
Because too many people, when they run into hard times, they run away.
Yep, and that's what I kept doing. Like all those times, over the however many years we've been meeting, and I would be like, "Oh yeah, Jesus," but then like a week later, 2 weeks later, a month, whatever, something would happen, and I'm like, "To heck with this," and I just go back to my old lifestyle. But this time, like I don't know when it was, like a week or two ago, or whatever, something happened, and I stayed. Like I didn't run away. Like I talked to God about it, and I'm still talking to him about it, and
that's key. And was it you I was talking to the other day, and I said, I've always taught my boys since they were little that if they ever mess up, never run away from God, always run to God. because that's the deception of the enemy. The enemy says God doesn't love you anymore. He's not going to forgive you. You've messed up too many times. And so the enemy tries to get us to hide and run away from God. That's exactly what happened to Adam and Eve.
Right.
Adam and Eve have sinned against God. And what do? They hide themselves, and God comes looking for them. So the great thing about God is even when we do hide ourselves, he still comes looking for us.
Right.
But I tell my boys, don't get in that habit, man. You mess up, run to God.
Yeah.
Don't run from him.
Right. Yeah, that's huge. But it might take a person a while to get to that that stage or whatever, because it took me a long time.
Yeah.
Thank the Lord that I'm there. But what I was going to say was like coming to church, I think a lot of people feel that a lot of people who are in the church are judgmental. They have this
that's still going on.
Yeah,
that stuff's been played out.
I know, but that's how I feel.
Okay. All right.
Like, nothing against y'all, but like I feel like I come here and I'm not saying anybody's acting a certain way. It's just how I personally feel. Like, because everybody's always super great. But I just feel like, oh, well, she comes to church like what, once a week? She's going to hell. And that's just how I feel. Like, I feel like people are judging me.
You say you meant once a month.
What'd I say?
Once a week?
Did I say once a week?
I don't know.
But that's just what I feel like. Or she only comes to church on Easter and Christmas. I don't even do that. So
what's really interesting is in the Christian community, they have a name for people that come on Christmas and Easter. They call them the CE Christians.
The CE? What's that?
Christmas,
Easter.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Took you a while to grab
it
that.
Did.
That's all right.
It's been a rough morning. but yeah. So I don't know. That's just, like I said, that's just how I feel. But I think that's just like, that might just be a me thing, because I always feel judged by like everybody. I think has a lot to do with society. But
well, you're coming into a public venue on Sunday morning. You may or may not know some of the people, and you're getting ready to embark on a very personal, intimate atmosphere.
Yeah.
The dynamics are really strange. And I don't think that means you should not go to church, but really, I think we have to start rethinking church, because really the church on Sunday mornings is a time for believers who are already in fellowship and intimate together to come together to worship, to hear the word and be trained, and then literally, which doesn't happen in our churches very much, to confess and repent and share with each other their struggles so they can grow and learn from one another.
Right.
That's going to be hard if you have a new believer walk in.
Yeah.
And they go, wow, this is like really weird.
Right.
So I think as a church, we need to start rethinking how we get out and build these kind of relationships with people. Because like you just said, how long has it been? Like, when was the first time that maybe we discussed or you came to the place where you said, okay, I think maybe I should try following Jesus?
Oh, man. That was probably like maybe 10 years ago.
Okay.
Like, legit. Maybe not.
Me, I'm more not. You see this gray hair? It's not just for
I
kids.
did that.
It's not just my kids.
No, it's been
it's from calls like every other week.
It was before Josh passed away.
It was. You're right.
Yeah.
Because I remember having conversations with Josh.
About yes.
And he'd be like, "She's not safe."
Yeah. And then I'd call you and complain about Josh or whatever. Like, but
that's good.
But yeah, like I said, it's taken me a long time to get to the point where I am. Like, that's a long time.
It is a long time.
And like I said, at the point I'm at now, because too, I was gonna say, like, before, like when you know how during your sermons and stuff, you'll say, oh, whoever wants to come up. You know how many times I've wanted to come up, but I was like, I'm scared what everyone's gonna think. So I wouldn't do it. But now I'm on a whole new level.
So if she gets to church, she may actually come up when I say come up.
I've got no problem with it. We'll meet in the parking lot. I'm just kidding.
Well, Brianna Etling and Sandy Weaver have joined in. I don't know if it says that they're watching, so hopefully they're still watching. But Nikki, so if we go back 10 years then, and we walk through 10 years of you struggling through things and walking away from Jesus and then kind of coming back knowing that he's there, what would be the one thing you would say that kind of caused you to continue, that God kept drawing you back somehow? What would you say that was? That if there's somebody out there that's struggling right now going, you know what, I've messed up so many times, God doesn't love me. And maybe they don't have anybody in their life that is willing to meet with them at the coffee shop every other month, even though the person that's meeting with them is going, man, she's not going to make it. Because I don't know how many times I'm like, man, I don't know if she's going to make it.
Oh my, well, like I said, 10 years, it took 10 years. And,
so what would you say to somebody out there that's saying, I'm struggling, this is, I don't even think God loves me. And
I mean, I don't know. I'm not a counselor, but I don't know. Like for me, I always felt like, cause in that 10-year span, I have been through a lot. Like, just with.
And you're not home yet.
No.
Right?
Oh,
right.
Not even close.
So that's important to remember.
Not even close. Like, yeah. I mean, my shoes still look brand new.
Actually,
they do. But what was I gonna say?
10-year span.
10-year span. Brian,
I gotta help her.
This because you, man.
So you got a 10-year span. Your shoes are.
My shoes are new. No,
man, I can't even remember now.
Wait a minute.
No, you were talking about the 10-year span, and
I've been through a lot.
I've been through a lot, and how.
Oh yeah. So I've been through a lot, like with my brother and with Graham and like my marriage and just myself, things that I like really, it was just really bad. But I always felt like at some point during like all those times, I still felt God calling on me. Like, so that's when I would be like, okay, I'm gonna, try to do this. And then I would, and then something would happen like really bad. And then I would just be like, oh, I can't do it. Cause it was a lot. It was a lot for me. Like, cause all the things that happened were like, it wasn't like, oh, I spilt my Coke or something. It was like something really serious and, hard to deal with. And I'm still dealing with all that stuff, but, I'm like now learning to like depend on God to help me get through it all, because there's no way I know I can't do it on my own. Mm-hmm. Like he's allowed me to get this far, like to where I am now. So I'm just gonna keep keeping on.
Yeah. And when I said that she's not home yet, I wasn't trying to degrade her salvation or level of salvation, but I do believe that the Bible's clear that we have been saved, we are being saved, and we will be saved. It's a process. Mm-hmm. And when I say she's not home yet, is she's still got storms that are going to come up in her life, and she's going to have to continue to cling. And mm-hmm. she might fall down, but she needs people mm-hmm. around her that'll help pick her back up. And, right. God's going to do that, and she needs to be able to do that. So, and she's not perfect by any means. Trust me. She is not.
I'm almost perfect.
She's close, but she's not perfect. So this is good for people to hear and to understand, because faith is not easy.
No, it is not. I think, wasn't I just saying that? Was I saying that to you? Or I was saying to somebody literally the other day. I said, it is so much easier to live in to live in the world that we do now and just live for yourself and live for like the world, as opposed to living for Christ. Mm-hmm. It is so much easier because you're not really fighting against anything. You know what I mean? In like the world of like in Satan's world, because everything is, most things are just all sinful. But like living for Christ, you're fighting against everything, mm-hmm. And it's crazy. Like for me, like I'm not fighting against Bob, but since Bob's not a believer, like it's definitely like a hurdle, right. It's like in our marriage and stuff, but it's like, I'm fighting against that. I'm fighting against like society and just like every day, like even things that are like on TV and things with the kids and all that stuff. Yeah. It's a constant battle.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and faith really isn't, it's not for the strong.
No, I'm not strong.
faith in Christ is for the weak, so that they can see that God is their strength.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And faith, again, faith is not blind hope either. faith is like for the last 10 years, it's Nikki's, working out her salvation and understanding that she can trust God in these areas of her life, that God is true and he's faithful in this. And over time, then he becomes a refuge to us. And in that refuge, we know that he has all the answers. He has the wisdom that the world doesn't have to speak into things. And sometimes that's on a very spiritual level, and sometimes it's on a very practical level. But he has all of the wisdom that we need for that.
Right.
All right. Well, I haven't seen any questions or thoughts, but if you want to comment or anything on Facebook or YouTube.
Yeah, mine's not doing.
YouTube. A lot of times we don't get people on YouTube because sometimes just people don't.
Oh, is that Facebook?
That's Facebook.
Oh, that's why it's not. Okay.
So if you have any thoughts or questions, or you want to ask Nikki something or whatever, go ahead and you can do that. But
how did I become so great?
Oh, my goodness.
I was born that way. No, but too, what I was going to say, like in that 10 years too, I think that why when I would try to like live for God and stuff, I think like I was in a mindset that I had to be perfect. Like I had to do, this, and that, and then blah, blah, blah. And I couldn't mess up. And if I messed up, it was just,
done.
yeah. And, I mean, obviously I don't feel that way anymore, but I just now just recently realized that I don't have to be, I'm not going to be perfect. And God doesn't expect us to be. So I think that was a big thing for me too.
Right.
But it's crazy. Like, I don't know.
And even today, like you coming here and sharing this, some people that know you will go, they might watch this or they may hear about this.
Yeah.
And they may go, what's she on there saying that she's a believer or she's saved? Because they may see things in your life that they already have judged you on and they say, hey, that's not good.
Well, you're rude and you shouldn't judge. I'm kidding. But you're right.
Right. So, but at the same time, you have to evaluate that and you have to look into that judgment and you have to be willing to say, you know what, you're exactly right. I'm still struggling here, but I'm going to keep after God because he's my only hope.
Right.
You see, that's the difference, like with someone who decides that they don't need God and someone who says, I'm going to be religious, or then another person says, no, I'm going to cling to God because I need him because he's my life.
Right.
I'm not going to be religious. I'm not going to just go to church.
Right.
I'm not going to totally deny him. I need him to change me.
Right.
And I can't do that on my own.
Well, I find it like because like when you said that, there's people like certain people came to mind. But I don't know, like, because I'm not even gonna say it because it'd probably be rude. So, but it's not rude. It's the truth. You know what? I will say it. because like people, you go to church every Sunday and whatever. It does not mean that you're a Christian. You're a believer. Like, yeah, if you go outside and that's how you live your life every day, yes. But if you leave here on Sunday and the rest of the week you live for yourself and you do A, B, and C, like you're only fooling yourself, homie.
It's not any different.
You're right. So I don't know. But like I like to call them bench warmers. And I've called them that for years. Yeah. I remember sitting in the coffee house talking to you about that years and years ago. But
yeah. So Nikki and I have a long history. Matter of fact, the history is so long it goes back to let's see, you were born when I was 13. I was 13.
You had to have been like somewhere 13. Around there. Because I remember when you were in high school. Yeah. And I used to always look at, because I like looked up to you and he was always really mean to me. But I thought you were so cool.
Well,
in your little senior picture with your little turtleneck and your little sweater. And you're all
oh my goodness. That's part of the problem. When you're younger and you see a high school person, you always think they're cool.
Yeah, you do.
And the difference is where you gravitate towards. You might see someone who's goth and, emu. Is that
emo?
Emo, that's right.
Emu, that's an animal.
Emu's an animal. I did not.
Like ostriches type looking things?
Yeah, it is. Okay. It is. Matter of fact, there's some people who have a farm out on 608.
Oh, really? Oh.
They sell the oil.
Yeah.
They sell the oil from it and stuff.
Oh,
which is
really?
interesting.
Oh, huh.
I don't know if they have a pump they open up and it comes out of the bird, the
Ew,
oil.
that is gross. What do
It's
you use it
strange.
for?
No, I imagine once they cook the bird down somehow, they get
They
the oil
eat
from
them? They eat the birds?
Oh yeah, they're supposed to be really good, I think.
That's horrible.
Anyway, moving on. But yeah, we've Nikki has always been in my life. Sometimes an annoyance, like when I was younger, I saw her as an annoyance.
He did.
And then as a believer, as Christ grabbed hold of my heart, and then I would try to share faith with family members. Some of the younger family members have always been easier to share faith with because, you know, I was the older person. But let me ask you this question. When I became a believer, I remember Josh used to say this too, that he was very upset with me. And the reason he was upset with me is because I kind of was like leaving what he thought, what he was clinging to of how cool I was or how much I was leaving that life, not only like physically, like
Right.
spiritually, I'm sorry, emotionally, but physically. Now I was going off to college.
Yeah.
I was studying to be a minister, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Did you have that same kind of issue or no?
No, because like you and Josh were always really close. And I think that Josh might have felt abandoned when you left because
Right.
he really looked up to you. And, you know, because we didn't really have a dad. And we had one, but he wasn't much of a father. Sorry, Rachel, but that's the truth.
Rachel might be watching. You better watch out.
Well, it's the truth. She knows, like, that, you know, how he was with Josh and I. And I just think that, like, that was probably, like, the biggest thing.
But we
for
still
Josh.
love you.
Yeah, we
And,
do. Oh, a ton.
And we pray all the time.
Yes. I think that's how he felt because I felt the same way when he left. And I think that, seriously, like, he felt abandoned. And he was...
Well, you felt that way when Josh left.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But you guys, like I said, you guys were always really close. And when you left, I felt like he just kind of thought like,
yeah,
what the heck, man?
Well, he was like a brother at first, and then later on, he was like kind of like a son to me.
Yeah.
And when he lived with us in Florida, I don't even know if Naomi remembers Josh. I imagine she does. But when he lived with us in Florida, I mean, my goodness, you know, it was like our older son living there.
Right, at Carlton Arms.
Yeah.
I remember going down there. They had the best pool, but anyways, yeah. I got really tan that summer. But anyways,
yeah.
But yeah, I remember that, and I remember April freaked out on me because I had makeup on. She's like, "That is too much makeup, Nikki." I'm like, April, I'm like 17. Like,
were you that old then? I don't think you were that old.
I might not have been 17, but. Yeah, I was. I think I might have been 16, 17.
Yeah.
I was. Yep.
Right.
But anyways, yeah. I don't know what we were saying.
Well, see, this is how we digress. Naomi says she does remember Josh.
Oh.
So okay. So I guess then my only thought was if you go back to all that stuff, and we've walked through 10 years now, and I've sat with you through a lot of hard times, and we walked through that stuff. Here is one of the things that I want to ask you. Do you think that the church is willing to do what we've been doing for the last 10 years as a whole? Do you think most people are willing to invest that much time into somebody who looks like they're not making it, and then 1 week is on fire? Do you remember when you were like really on fire? And I thought, oh my gosh, you were going to be a missionary.
I was. He even told me he thought I was going to save the world myself because.
But then I also told her,
was.
I said, don't freak out when this whole thing bubbles. You know, when all the steam comes out.
Yeah, and the reason why I did is because he left me. Went on sabbatical for 7 years. It felt like.
It wasn't even 7. It was 5 weeks.
Well, it felt like 7 years. And then after that, I just like, I hit hard times, and I was just like, I think I tried to go to church because I think Brandon was
preaching. Tom.
Yeah,
and were there.
Yeah, and I'm just like, it's just not the same. So I just was like, I'm done.
Well, you know, that's part of an issue too when it comes to church. Is that some people come to church, like the actual building and the facility, and they come in and they see a service, and so all of a sudden they like the worship.
Mm-hmm.
And if they like the worship, then they'll keep coming. Or if they like the preacher, they'll keep coming.
Right.
Or if they get a connection with. So that's an important part, but that's not why. See, we can't get people to faith based on they like Brian's preaching over this person's preaching, or they like this. Now, I understand that some preaching is more in depth. Some preaching is maybe more interesting, or it comes from, the person speaking has a dynamic about themselves.
Right.
That's all fine. But at the end of the day, we have to help people see that Jesus is who they cling to, not a person.
Right.
So how did you had to have gotten past that, because there's times where, I'll just be honest. There are times where I can't get to you. Like you'll say, hey, can we meet? And I'll say, I can't this week.
Oh, yeah.
And so obviously God is doing something in your life that's saying, Nikki, Brian's not going to, Brian, you can't.
Like solely depend on.
Right. Brian can't get you through this.
Right.
Like I have other people in my life right now who at the same time, I'm trying to disciple, I'm trying to work with.
Yeah.
And some of them really are dependent on me. And I keep trying to say, listen, you've got to get into Jesus.
Yeah. And that's what I've been doing.
Okay. Right.
And like, if I can't, like, cause I'll still ask like some ladies if they want to meet, whatever. Usually it never works out, but that's okay, because, I just, like I said,
you don't care. That's okay, because you don't really care about her. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. So have fun looking in the mirror. No, I'm just kidding. But I don't know. Like, I just feel like my relationship with God has matured, and I'm okay with just hanging out with him.
Yeah.
And I'm okay. Like, he's gonna be my teacher. Like, he's the one I want to learn from. I'm not saying I don't want to learn from you, but
no.
You know what I mean? I still do, like, if I don't understand something in the Bible or if whatever, like, I do come to you. But just as of like recently, I've just learned to like really depend on him and talk to him. Like, I literally talk to him like he's standing right in front of me. Like, people, if they were to like have cameras in my house, they would probably think I'm crazy, but that's just how I do it.
No, that's good. And what she just brought up is so important. And that is that she's been getting into this, which I constantly try to help people see, that if you get into his word is where it's at. And so she's been doing that. And then she'll call me or she'll text me and say, hey, I got a question about this. And then we'll talk. And I could talk all day long about this kind of stuff. And one of the things is that I've seen in her is that as she's been doing this, that's where her strength has been coming from. It has, I don't think it has anything to do with me, or it doesn't have anything to do with the way the church has acted towards her. It's because she's gotten into the word. So a part of me says, if we could get people just into the word, just reading the word, but, we also have to get them to see that they need Christ to change their life. So real quick, we have just a few minutes left before we chime out. Is there anything specific you've been looking at in the word, or do you want to bring up something that maybe we could just throw out there and talk about real quick?
What I was doing, I told you I wanted to read the Bible in its entirety. Then I was listening to a sermon on YouTube, and he was like, start reading from Matthew on. So I started doing that. So I'm reading Matthew now. But I'm also like, after I get done like reading Matthew, I do go back into Psalms, because that's where I left off. And I'll read, a few chapters out of there, but, not really. I don't know. I probably do, but like right this second, I can't think of anything. But yeah, I just, I don't know. Like, I'm really enjoying like, what is that? What is that? What is that?
That's probably Brian and Nathan.
Oh, okay.
Trying to get into the church. Do you want to let them in, or do you want me to?
I can.
All right. So we're getting ready to check out. So if you have any questions or thoughts before we leave, we really appreciate you guys coming in. Now, Brian and Nathan here, maybe in our last just couple minutes here, Brian and Nathan might want to come in and get online. Do you think Brian and Nathan are going to want to
say hello?
Yeah. Brian and Nathan, you guys want to say hello?
You want to say hello? You could be a YouTube star like me.
Just come on in here, grab a chair, say hello. We're on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. We've got several thousands of people who have chimed in.
That's like 6 people, dude.
I know, it's just 6. But
6.
It feels like 1,000.
10,000, he means. He can't read yet, so...
No, that's like 2 people who commented like 1,000 times.
So the boys are actually here today, and the reason the boys are here is because we are going to hardwire all of our computers and TVs in the church so that we get better signals, so that we don't keep dropping signal with the Wi-Fi. And so they're here. They're going to help me go up in the attic and in the ceilings and hardwire stuff here
Oh.
today.
I will not be doing that. I'm gonna go rip out my old flower bed so I can plant a new one.
Oh, that's
You're cool.
nice.
I'm really excited about it because I usually don't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I like it, but I'm like, that's like a lot of hard work. But I don't know. Things are changing, Brian. Things are changing.
Things are changing.
I'm becoming a brand new person.
There's 3 people watching.
I know there's only 3 people watching now. A lot of people signed in, but some people after they heard Nikki talk, they checked out. As soon
That's
as-
not true, is it?
Yeah.
Well, that's rude.
Oh, no.
All right. Well, we are going to be done for the day. So, Lord willing, you have a good weekend, and we'll see you back here hopefully next week.
Yep.
10 o'clock on Friday. All right.
Bye.
Are you here every?
No, I was here. When was that? A couple weeks ago. But I just like popped in. Like I saw your dad's car here,